I really don't know how to start videos like this because I never really talked about this. I never really was open about this stuff with my friends and family. So for most people, this is going to be brand new information. And what I'm talking about is my experience with playing basketball at a competitive level and why I don't want to pursue that anymore. This is going to be me answering that question. And that question is why I quit playing basketball. To answer the question, it's a few different reasons, but it all comes together to say that I stopped playing basketball because I was not willing to continue putting myself through the physical and mental stress just to not make the final roster. You know, I love basketball ever since I was young, and I remember watching the 2011 finals when I was like 8 years old, and I remember playing all the old 2K games, and I was hooked. That was the foundation for my love of the game. But it wasn't until the 7th grade where I started playing for a rec team. And you may ask, what took you so long to start playing? Why did you wait until you were that old to start taking the game serious and start trying to perfect your craft and want to be a part of something that was bigger than yourself? And the reason is, and this is probably the biggest reason why I inevitably wanted to stop altogether, was my severe anxiety. Anxiety is defined as a mental health disorder characterized by feelings of worry, anxiety, or fear that are strong enough to interfere with one's daily activities. Examples include panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, a fast heart rate, rapid breathing, sweating, and feeling tired may occur. You know that feeling when you get in front of a stage for the first time, you gotta talk to a whole bunch of people? That is what I feel when it comes to anxiety. But take that feeling and just apply that to everyday occurrences, like getting in a car with your mom, or having a conversation with somebody, or just going anywhere in general, doing something in front of somebody. Just apply it to that and multiply it by 100. That's how it was for me every day. You know, pretty much all those examples I gave when I defined it, that applies to me. Not only off the court, but especially on the court. I would think about the worst possible outcome. Even though it was very unlikely to happen, I would still think about it and it would resonate with me so much for whatever reason. Something as small as missing a layup. You know, if you play basketball, this is something that just happens. Nobody's perfect. Not everybody's gonna go 100% on layups. But just missing a wide open layup was something that in the grand scheme of things is so small, but it was big enough in my head too, for whatever reason, hold me back from just not playing the game that I love. Just the thought of going out there and performing or underperforming in front of people, even though I loved the game, it was enough to stop me. And it got to the point where I would get physically sick. I would feel nauseous. I would start sweating. My body would start shaking. And it got so bad at one point during tryouts where I started feeling heart palpitations. I started experiencing that while I was playing. And you know, I went to the doctor to go to get a heart monitor, and I discovered that there was nothing wrong. All of that was just induced by the anxiety. There was nothing wrong with my heart. I didn't have a hole in my heart. I didn't have a blood clot or anything. That was all caused by the anxiety. People are not going to look at something like this as a serious thing, but when you start feeling your heart beat out of rhythm, this is more than just, oh, he might be trying to be lazy or he just a little bit nervous. This is way bigger than that. You know, the whole time I'm out there, whether I'm at practice, at a workout, or at tryouts, I'm fighting intrusive thoughts the whole time. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I do this? What if I do that? What if I do something wrong? Every time I'm out there, I'm thinking, and those thoughts are racing through my head. And every time I try to knock it out and block those thoughts from coming into my head, they come back stronger. It was almost like being a slave to your own thought. And the only reason I even played at 7th grade was because my mom forced me. And when she told me, I literally broke down because I was just straight up petrified of going out there and doing something in front of somebody. It sounds crazy to me, even as an older person, but to y'all who probably never experienced this kind of anxiety, you probably sounds like I'm insane. But this is the reality for a lot of people like me. Something as so small as, you know, getting signed up to go play basketball without you knowing. It just completely sent my 13-year-old brain into a spiral. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was petrified. And it's crazy because even to this day, my mom, she jokes around and said, you threw a tantrum when I told you and you ended up loving it. Well, of course, because I love the game, but it was just that thought of going out there and performing that was holding me back. And I remember we had a good season. My team even won the little rec league championship. I even still have my jersey hanging up over there next to the medal that I got because, you know, even though it seems kind of small because, you know, people have these medals and trophies from these big prestigious camps and state championships, but for me, that wasn't just a physical achievement. That was symbolic of me getting past something in my own thoughts, in my own head that was holding me back for so long. or so I thought. 8th grade comes around. I tried out for my school and I got cut. And that did nothing but make those negative thoughts reemerge. And it just basically doubled down. It's so bad to the point where freshman year, I didn't even try out. And I made all kinds of excuses. Oh, I don't really want to play. And, you know, my asthma wasn't nothing. You know, I have it, but it didn't affect me when I was playing basketball. I just couldn't get out of my own head. I knew good and well I wanted to play. I just didn't know how to get past my own self. So freshman year goes on, and like I said, I didn't try out. But something, for whatever reason, told me to go play during the summer. So near the end of my freshman year, they started hosting like workouts, and I started going to summer workouts. And I had even gotten a trainer, so my confidence was starting to rise. And then, unfortunately, and this goes into my next reason why I stopped playing, I dislocated my knee around like 4 or 5 workouts in, and I wasn't able to play for the whole summer. So not only was I not able to play, but I also couldn't train my trainer, and on top of that, I failed a class my freshman year. So while I should have been traveling with the team and getting more familiar with the guys on the team, I was in the city making up a class, and I take responsibility for that. I can't blame anybody except myself for that. I should have handled my business. But back to the injuries, before I even hurt my right knee, I had already hurt my left knee earlier in my freshman year. Not to mention the 10 times I've sprained my ankle. If you know me and you've played basketball with me, you've probably seen me sprain my ankle at least once or twice. It was something that just happened so often. To say the least, these injuries piled up fast. And I really think it's because of how fast I grew in such a short amount of time. Beginning in 9th grade year, I'm 5'9". But by the end of the year, I was about 6 foot 6'1". So I think that rapid growth was really a main contributor in my now lengthy injury history. Even up until my junior year, I was still getting hurt. In the middle of my junior year, I sprained my ankle so bad I couldn't even walk. I missed a couple of days of school because of how agonizing the pain was. My ankle looked like a literal grapefruit. 10th grade comes around, and because I had to sit out all summer, I was out of shape. And when I was able to move freely, I wasn't at 100%, and tryouts came up with me fast. I tried out again, and the coach literally told me to my face that I had a spot on his roster. But since I missed the last day of the tryouts, which is literally just a day where they were giving out your congratulations letter, I wasn't on the team for whatever reason. But you're probably wondering why I missed the last day of tryouts. Now remember earlier when I said that the anxiety really gets to you and it makes you feel physically sick. This was that same year where I was talking about how I started feeling heart palpitations. I missed the last day because I went to go see a doctor because I was concerned about my health. But the coach, he didn't want to hear any of that. He just wrote it off as me being lazy. And to this day, he still says I quit on him. The part that really got me was not only was I told by the coach that I was on the team, but players that were on the team told me that I was on the team. And since my name was on the roster, I literally had school fees that I needed to pay off. It was documented and everything, but I just didn't play a single second of basketball for the school. I was even called down to the office one day because I was told that I needed to turn in some kind of paperwork to attend this banquet for athletes. Yet I didn't even take a step on the court. All these things that happened that basically confirmed like, yo, I was literally in the position to play, but when it came down to it, the coach was like, I don't know what I can do for you. That's crazy to me. Tryouts for my junior year came around, and I tried out, and on the 3rd day of tryouts, the coaches pulled me to the side and said, congratulations, you have made the varsity basketball team, and practice is going on now in the varsity gym. And at this point, you would think I'm excited. You know, all this hard work that finally paid off. I finally gotten to this point in my life. I've been striving for this point for years, and I'm finally here. But my good friend, anxiety kicked in at that very moment. Now I'm back in my own head, overthinking things, thinking irrationally, thinking about any possible thing that could go wrong. And at the end of my first practice, I found out that I hadn't actually made the team. It was just the first varsity cut that I had made. So turns out I was gonna have to spend the rest of the week basically doing tryouts part 2 to prove myself to the coaches all over again. But it was just at a point where, you know, I'm in my head the whole time. I'm just overthinking every single thing I do on the court, and it's affecting my performance. And you know, I'm out there giving it my all. Even though I'm not the best player on the court, I'm still giving it 100%. But in the back of my head, those thoughts are creeping in, just hoping that I get cut. Because the thought of playing in front of a crowd, the thought of going out there and playing bad, doing this, doing that, that petrified me to the point where I was sitting there hoping that I didn't make the team, even though I'm sitting there trying my butt off to make this team. It doesn't even sound real. It sounds crazy. Eventually, we got to the end of the week, and on the last day of practice, the coach pulled me aside before we even suited up, and I already know what the business is. So by the time I had gotten to his office, I had already accepted, you know, what he was about to tell me, and he told me that I had got cut from the team. Basically, I just couldn't adhere to that style of play. You know, I'm really tall, but I also got a lot of weight on me. And even though I'm not crazy sluggish, I'm not the fastest person on the court. And they do a lot of fast-paced movements, and they do a lot of pressing on defense. So it really wasn't a good fit for a guy like me who is a little bit slower on his feet and isn't like this crazy athletic big man that can just sprint up and down the court, which is what they needed. And that goes into my last reason why I no longer want to play. If you saw me and you saw that I was a little bit slow-footed and you saw that I was kind of husky, why would you waste my time giving me fool's gold, making me believe that I might possibly have a chance to play on this team when the whole time, not only were there two other bigs in front of me that were more equipped for that play style, but there were a couple more who were still playing football, because you know the football season and the basketball season, they overlap. There was a couple players that he already had in mind playing football that were more equipped for the kind of team he wanted to run. So why would you bring me out there and give me fool's gold? Shoot. In the sports world, this is known as politics, and it's basically the same old the coaches sold favoritism trope. But if you play sports, then you know that it's not just cliche. This is something that actually happens, and it's true for a lot of athletes everywhere. And a lot of athletes at any level can relate to that, because it just seems like no matter how good you are, no matter how much work you put in, if the coach already has his mindset on who he wants on the team, even if you're better than some of the players that are already on the team, there's not a whole lot you can do to wedge yourself in there. I've seen this happen with my own friends. Personally, some of the best players I've ever seen either not be able to get playing time or just not make the team altogether. While these guys are busting their butt, coach already has his 8-man rotation in mind before tryouts even start. And in my case, they were holding official team practices before tryouts even started. And by no means am I blaming the players, because if they got there, they more than likely earned it. I'm just saying that it makes it way harder for the guys who didn't already have the coach's favor to get their foot in the door. And you know, as a man, you know, I gotta come clean and admit there are some things that I could have done more of. I could have worked harder. I could have put in more hours at the gym. And I also could have, you know, tried to get more brownie points with the coaches. But I also had to ask myself, you know, was it worth not only the physical pain, but the mental pain just to inevitably be taken out by either an injury or by a coach's favoritism? Did I love the game enough to put myself through the cycle over and over and over and over again? And the answer is no. And that's okay. I love basketball. I still love playing it. I still love watching it. And I'm still a student of the game. I still want to get better for myself. That's why I posted that basketball video, because I still wanted to share basketball with you. I still thoroughly love the game. It's just that I don't yearn to compete at the highest levels anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. For a long time, I felt pressure because everybody in my family played. Even my 85-year-old grandmother played when she was in high school. So with everybody in my family playing, I didn't want to be the only one who, you know, was probably the tallest in the family and the one who had the most, I guess, physical advantages because of the era I played, and I have the most tools for success. I didn't want to be the only one who didn't play. But I had to ask another question. Am I doing this for them, or am I doing this for me? And it wasn't like they were asking me to do it. It's just that I didn't want to be looked at a certain way by people in my family. Because to be honest, even your family can be a little judgmental. Even if they don't come out and say the things that they're thinking, there's still a chance that they might be thinking things. But like I said, I had to do this for myself. It's perfectly fine to realize that you no longer want to pursue the thing that you thought you wanted, the thing that you thought you needed. For all this time, I thought that playing basketball at a really high level, you know, playing college, and in an extremely lucky case further on, I thought that that's what I wanted and needed. But I came to the realization that I don't want, nor do I need that anymore. It took a very long time to make the decision because of that fact that I thought that if I stopped, not only was I letting other people down, but I was mainly letting myself down. I'm making the best decision that I feel like is right for my life. I no longer want to put myself through something that I feel like won't be worth it. So why continue to go through it? I just feel like if you 100% feel like the decision you're making is the best decision for your life, then go ahead and make it, because it's more than likely the right decision, you know? hopefully y'all enjoyed today's video. The reason why I'm using my phone right now is because my camera died and I was not finna wait for my battery to charge to finish this video. If you like this video, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, tell people about the channel, man, because I'm trying to grow. I want to make this decision worth it, you feel me? So go ahead, like the video, comment, subscribe, all that helps me. Even though it seems small, all that really helps, and it really helps let YouTube know that, y'all mess with the videos, you feel me? But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. My next video is gonna be another IRL basketball video. So if y'all enjoy that, stay tuned, because once I'm done with this video editing this, I'm moving on to that. I'm gonna get my boy Rohan, shout out my boy Rohan. I'm gonna get him to help me edit that video once again, and we're gonna put out another banger for y'all. But until then, I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video, all right?